Holy nostalgia.
On today's episode of Nostalgia 101, Manny and I welcome head coach and owner of Phoenix Performance Coaching, Jordan Yacklin, to talk all about health, fitness, and gaming. All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Nostalgia Test Podcast, Nostalgia 101. This time, Manny.
Welcome. Class is in session, Dan. Class is in session.
That's right.
Wow, it's been a while since we had a 101. Since posted, maybe. Yes. Because behind the scenes, we do record 2 episodes every time we get together because Dan and I's schedule is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm in New York. Dan is in LA. Welcome
What's
to
up?
The Nostalgia Test Podcast. This is going to be a little bit different than what you're used to. If you haven't heard 101, me and Dan are here to learn. We invite a guest that has a lot to teach us. We get into it. We obviously still do our tangents, and I can't wait. This is going to be, this is exciting. I remember when you told me about this, I was really pumped about it. So I got a couple of questions to ask, and even how it relates to, there's like gaming, and then there's I'm a brewer. If you all don't know, this podcast is sponsored by Lethargy Brewing Company over in Farmingdale, New York, 211A Main Street. If you're looking for some great craft beer, award-winning, Dan, award-winning.
That's right, award-winning
beer. Gold medal this year for the Brown Ale in New York State. Come down to Lethargy Brewing Company. Shameless plug. How you doing? What's up?
Okay, there he is. All right, and everyone. So we are here, like I said, Nostalgia 101. We're here with Jordan Yacklin. We connected online, and it's been really cool to go back and forth. But I would love for Jordan to introduce himself to our audience. Let them know a little bit about yourself, Jordan. Welcome to the Nostalgia Test.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me on. My name's Jordan, and I am an online health and lifestyle coach where through Phoenix Performance Coaching, where we empower gamers to reclaim their health, lose weight, and build the confidence to become the main character of their lives, which a lot of times they aren't. And so enter me.
Awesome.
When did this start?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And the not so TLDR of it is my whole academic career was in health and fitness and exercise science and stuff like that. And originally I was going to go into strength and conditioning, and I wanted to coach young athletes, like high school athletes. And the reason why is because in high school, I played football in high school, and our strength coaches were also our sports coaches, which were also our teachers. And so they had like virtually no actual foundation on how to strength train. So student athletes were getting hurt. I was lucky enough to not get hurt, but I also felt like I was hindered in that sense to where I wasn't able to reach my full potential. Not that I had to be like an NFL quarterback or anything like that, but I feel like there was probably a few missing pieces. And so went to college, wanted to correct the wrongs of my forefathers, so to speak, and being able to teach a strong, solid foundation for novice lifters so that way they could reach their max potential. And I graduated on Star Wars Day, May the 4th, 2019, with my master's in exercise physiology. And then just around a year later, the whole world shut down. And so within that year, after graduating, I was looking for jobs as a high school strength coach. And where I am in middle of Michigan, there aren't any. So I was emailing a bunch of high schools saying, hey, you should start a position and hire me. And they're like, we would love to, but no. And it's a year of that. And the pandemic happened, closed a lot of doors, obviously, both physically, literally, and metaphorically. And I had my gaze shifted to the online world of what online coaching could do. And that was like borderline in its infancy. Like a lot of times people would always just want to be in person. And then the pandemic happened, and online coaching and remote work and online in general just really blew up. And I never really looked back. And roughly since 2020, I always pursued online coaching. And why gamers specifically? I'm a nerd. I think I'm a nerd first. I've been playing since the original Fat Boy when I was 3 years old. And I don't know if this is video, but you guys can see behind me, I have a bookshelf. The first shelf is all D&D books. The second shelf behind those books are like fantasy novels. And the third and fourth shelves are boring health and fitness books. And so one day at our previous apartment, this bookshelf was in our bedroom, and I'm laying in bed staring at it. And I'm like, man, I have 2 passions in life. How can I blend them? It'd make my life so much easier. So I thought. And I was like, idiot, why don't you actually blend them? Why don't you use your health and fitness skills to serve the gaming community, which in my opinion is an extremely underserved community. And to go down my philosophy and my mission is, I'm sure we've all had that situation where we're either hanging out at a LAN party or a D&D session, and your buddies are around you are eating some indulgent food, maybe breathing heavy. Maybe they just came back from the doctors and the doctors are putting them on high blood pressure medicine, or they're just pre-diabetic. So you can see the health deteriorating of your friends around you. And when somebody wants to, and we might be tapping into some future questions here, but when somebody wants to improve their health, where do they often turn towards? And assuming they have no knowledge of health and fitness to begin with, they'll probably look on Instagram, see what influencers and see influencers doing completely crazy, outlandish stuff, completely ripped, shirtless, doing jump squats with a barbell and a Bosu ball or something like that, something crazy. And then pitching their outrageous program and saying, you'll look just like this, when chances are they're taking some performance enhancing strength potions, if you will, and to be PC on that. And obviously selling
a link to gaming right there.
Exactly. And then ultimately selling you a bad bill of goods, snake oil salesman. And so what I've noticed is you have the gaming community where their health is deteriorating, and you have the health and fitness community, which panders to the health and fitness community, and it shuns everyone else. So you got this chasm between these two communities that I feel fairly passionate about, not mostly equally, I'll say. And I wanted to be that bridge to say, you can live your healthy life. You can get moderate exercise, moderate diet without sacrificing the foods and hobbies that you love, and still enjoy these hobbies without using them as an escape from reality and being an NPC in your own life. So that's why I say become the main character of your own life. It was a very long answer to get to that point.
No.
I
was going to ask, like, what is so intimidating, do you feel, that about health and fitness that people don't really have a hard time approaching it, or fall off very quickly in terms of, I'm going to get in shape, and then all of a sudden it's just, because I know myself, like, I want to get back into better shape, and obviously there's life stuff, there's getting older as well, and your body doesn't move exactly the way you wanted it to at all. But you also feel like you're watching other people, especially, like, I love yoga. So like when you go to a yoga studio, you're like, I want to do all these poses, but I have to make sure like I don't do anything that's going to hurt myself, because I might never ever get to do some of them. So is there like an intimidation factor that, do you think people, maybe especially in the gaming community, come up against, that like you feel like you're helping usher them across in a way?
Yeah. So I think it's a little bit of definitely that. I think the intimidation largely is fear of failure. So I think it's the fear of failure with what I call the villain voice in your head saying, why even try to do a diet? You failed so many times before. You're going to fall off like you've done all the other times. So why continue? Why even try? And then you have equally as detrimental as the perfectionist mindset, where I need to do everything perfectly, or therefore it's not worth doing at all. I can't eat boiled chicken and steamed broccoli, therefore I must go to Taco Bell. And so you have these two massive false dichotomies. And then you have the voice inside your head always pushing you towards the extreme detrimental side, the unhealthy side. And a lot of it is just stemming from, I think part of it is lack of knowledge, the perfectionist mindset. This is what we did in high school, even though we're 15 years removed. This is the workout program I found online. This is exactly what insert fitness influencer here does. And this is exactly what I need to do to get to this, when in reality, it's probably the last thing that they need to do. And they could do a whole lot more and have a whole lot more benefits from tweaking their diet slowly and going for daily walks. And I joke that a large part of what my job is pulling the reins back. Like, people come in, the January 1st mentality, right? We all do this. I want to work out 7 days a week and eat nothing but boiled chicken, steamed broccoli, and white rice. And I'm like, okay, cool. What do you do now? And never work out, pizza, fast food, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's start with maybe 2 workouts a week, body weight, 20 minutes, nothing crazy. And then let's slowly tweak our diet. And that largely individualized, so it depends on the person.
Right.
But making those incremental steps, instead of going from 0 to 100 and then back down to 0 again, go like 0 to 10 to 20 to 30. And that's really real secret sauces.
Wow. I got to jump in here because you're speaking my language big time, because I've done that. I go through and I've done it with my wife. We try to be each other's accountability partner. And I'm a lot older now. I was a wrestler in high school, and I'm like, I remember that. I remember that time. I was like, and I'm in pretty good shape. I definitely want to lose more weight. And I go through that where I'm like, I'm not losing it fast enough. I go like gung ho the first week, And then I'm like, I'm not seeing the results right away. And it's funny, like I'm thinking about gaming wise too, like things happen so quickly and instant, and especially even on Instagram. Like we live in an instant world, right? So
Yeah.
if you're not getting it right away, you're like, might as well not. I have a desserts destroyed. If there's a dessert, I'm having it. Sweet tooth. That's what I was looking for. And I know I'm like, my family has diabetes. Both sides of my family had diabetes. You need to stop. But I'm just like, oh, this is just so much easier. There's a couple of things, right?
Yeah.
There's depression that gets involved, stress, all that stuff. I own my own company. First of all, it's in the beer world. We're even trying to find more health things to happen in our world because the last 18, 19 months, 6 brewers have passed away in New York, and 3 of them were around 40 years old. So obviously there's something wrong, right? There's so many things, and no one is really trying to attack it. And I love that you're like, I've seen gamers. I know, like my nephew is becoming a gamer. Like he's 10, and I've started to see like his shape is getting to a shape that I'm not really liking, and I don't see his parents like really pushing him to do stuff. And it's wow, I could just imagine as a kid you could lose weight so much quicker, and then as you get older, how much harder it is, and then it's just so defeating. You're like, nah, man, I'll just go back to eating Taco Bell. It's just too hard to deal with all that. I love that you took it as, why don't you just like baby steps? Because you set yourself up for failure when you're like, nah, I'm gonna go cold turkey, just drink water every day, no more coffee. And it's just, I have a headache now because I don't have coffee. Like, it's hard to do that alone, I find. So I think like having a coach is huge, because then you're also the account. I don't want to make you feel bad. That's like also somebody that if you're like, Manny, what the heck, you didn't do the exercise today? I was like, oh man, I don't want to let you down. It's easier to let yourself down, I think, than letting other people down. So
if anything, it's just a second mind to the madness, right? And I think a large part of it's the accountability factor too. But again, it's pulling those reins back. Let's say, Manny, and you and I, we sit together and we create a program that works perfectly for you this week. And then next week, something comes up, work gets crazy. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe one of your brews explodes and you got to clean it all up, and you can't do a workout that week.
Yeah.
If you had the perfectionist mindset, you get 2 out of 3 workouts in that week, and that's a failure, right? Instead of me saying, okay, let's just take that workout off the schedule, you can get 2 out of 2 done. And it's a simple fix, but a lot of times people have that rigid mindset where we just created this 3-day-a-week workout program, therefore it must fit no matter what.
Yeah.
Rather than me saying, let's just take a chunk off and it'll fit perfectly.
Wow. It's funny. You sound so it sounds so simple saying it out loud. Like when you say it, it's like, but when you're trying to do that on your own, like it's so easy to just be like, nope, yeah, I didn't get, because I've done exactly what you're doing. Like, and I not only do this podcast, I have the brewery, but I also run a marketing company, and I'm busy, and sometimes it just gets in the way. And it's, I didn't do 7 days. Like we didn't walk 7 days today. So I guess I'm not walking tomorrow or the rest of the week.
Yeah.
It's so easy. But it's but you walk 6 days. Like you weren't walking any days. So it's crazy.
That's my favorite thing is Wednesday rolls around, you're stuck late at a work meeting, so you have to run and grab food on the way home. Therefore, the whole week's shot. And so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you use that as an excuse to go off the rails, saying, okay, I'll pick back up Monday. Rather than, let's say, for example, Wednesday night, you forget to brush your teeth. Do you just not brush your teeth the rest of the week? No. You brush your teeth on Thursday like nothing happened, right?
Yeah. So, like I said, it's so simple, but having someone to like make you look outside of yourself and be like, you didn't brush your teeth because you just forgot. Then next day you brush your teeth. Just it's okay. Keep it going. You're not like, who are you in the race with? Like it's just too easy to say no. Like it's too easy to quit in my opinion. Sometimes that's how, for me at least, what I get into.
But, and that's a very common mindset, that all or nothing mindset, where, like you said, if you're in a race and you stumble, do you turn around and walk back to the starting line to start over, or do you pick yourself up and continue the race? And a lot of people keep spinning their wheels going back to the starting line.
What is like a session, like an intro session sound like? Do you go through also like their mental health as well?
Yeah, so indirectly. And so I'm actually working with a licensed mental health counselor on a professional sense to get a better understanding on the human psyche. But a lot of what we do is, and I think you're skirting around this, I don't gamify things. You know, my branding's tailored towards gaming, and I like to have the gaming nomenclature. But I find that if something is gamified, and this is probably, what do I say, polarizing opinion, especially in the gaming community. If something is gamified in a way to prolong use, then it's a shallow in itself. And so how many live life like an RPG apps are out there, right? What happens? You download it, you open it up, set up your account, open it twice, and then it sits on your phone unused for 6 months until you get pissed off at it and delete it. And I think the only exception to that is Pokemon Go, because that has passed the test of time. And I'm very biased. So I do like authentic coaching. And so a lot of it has to do with change behavior and just overall behavioral psychology. And so it's not so much me watching you do your workout and saying, you got to tuck in your elbows when you do push-ups or watch your knees coming in when you do squats. I think that is like entry level coaching. And because people learn the mechanics first and then they learn how the psychology works. And so you don't need me to watch you do squats. You can do squats on your own. And so the vast majority of my time together with my clients is figuring out how things are going. How's your sleep? How's your work life? Stress. We talk a lot about stress levels. And so there's that mental wellness component without me sitting down and being like, so talk to me about your relationship with your mother. That type of thing.
How much do you feel, especially nowadays, that lack of sleep and like lack of sleep education really plays into poor health? Because I know for me, sleep, the challenge of sleeping is huge for me. I think it's like one of the main things that I'm always thinking, like, how do I make sure I can sleep through the night? How do I get to bed at a good time? How do I make sure I'm not tired? Because that's going to take away from my ability to even then go, I'm not going to work out because I'm too tired. Like, how much has that played in?
Obviously, we've all been there where, one more episode, one more side quest, one more match. And so that happens and that plagues us. And then let's say that happens. Let's say you go to bed at 1 a.m. and you're supposed to wake up at 7. So you wake up groggy, tired, probably pissed off, low energy, mental fog. And then not only do those affect you physically, where your performance is going to be lower, you're going to have that brain fog. So your cognitive ability is going to be less and impaired, but also emotionally, right? Probably irritable, pissed off. And then to oversimplify it, you don't get the comfort of sleeping properly. So your body then turns towards other things for comfort, other vices. And that is largely in the mode of fast food or comfort foods, I'll say. And so when we are in a sleep deprived state, we are much more likely to turn towards our comfort foods or highly processed, high calorie foods. So then what does that do? That affects we eat a lot, eat higher in calorie, probably had in a surplus for the day. And then we probably ate that later at night because work is going to keep us busy all day. We're going to run and get something on the way home because we don't want to cook because we're too tired to do anything. And so then what does that do? That probably affects your sleep the next night. And so this is 24-hour period, but imagine doing this for 20 years, right? And that's not even an exaggeration. People do this all the time because it puts them in this perpetual cycle of distress. Your cortisol levels are constantly high. Your cortisol is your stress hormone. It's your fight or flight reflex. So if a bear's coming at you, you want that cortisol to be high so you can get out of there. And then it wants to be elevated for 4 to 24 hours afterward to make sure that bear doesn't come back. But when your heightened state of arousal is from lack of sleep, and your mortgage is coming up and you don't know if you can actually afford it, or you just had a bad breakup where you're physically not threatened, then you get that chronic stress, poor sleep, poor food habits, lack of physical activity, which makes you feel like crap, which causes poor sleep habits, which causes poor diet habits. So you can see how it becomes a downward spiral.
Yeah,
sure.
All because of stress / poor sleep.
Yeah,
I feel like that was a lecture.
It's like snow.
no.
You're speaking my language here. It's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
If you think about it, let's go back to COVID. I was probably another 15, 30, 25 pounds more because I was the only one working at the brewery at the time, or else I couldn't pay myself. My partners all do other things. They have other careers that they needed to be at. And talk about lack of sleep, stress, poor eating. And then I started a podcast with my friend in LA, and I was up until one time, I think we talked for 4 hours. Just
it was nuts.
Like you think about, there was like a couple of things going on there. You just wanted to talk to somebody, right? So you're just not going to bed. But then the next day, it was like, and then you see how bad that effect happened to everyone. People drinking. Oh, it was great. Zoom calls are great. Everybody had some great times, but then you didn't sleep, and then the next day, and you just kept it going. You just kept it going.
Yeah.
And like trying to snap out of that took a little bit. It actually mentally messed me up. Like 2 years later, I had like whoa, that happened. Like all that. I saw my pictures and I was like, what the heck? I know now I don't sleep that well.
Yeah.
That's also because I drink an espresso at 4 o'clock because I'm tired from the night before and I want to get through like cleaning, and espressos are free because Flux Coffee next door, we share a building, and they're like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, oh, hey, I shouldn't have this. And I have it. And I know I could easily go, just give me a decaf so I get if this sounds right, the oral fixation or just the action of doing something and satisfy that to be like, I'm bored, let me have coffee. But now I'm going to stimulate myself for the next 8 hours. And then I'm just going to continue to go off the deep end. And I know I'm 43. This is going to start destroying my heart. This is going to start doing a lot of things. And it's a really tough thing to get through. Let's say for me saying this to you, and how do you coach someone out of that without yelling at them? Just be like, my answer would be like, I'm paying for it. So
but people pay for stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I pay for a yoga membership for a whole year, and it's around the block for me. And I don't go, like, I go maybe once a week. I don't want to. I'm sorry, Jordan. I jumped in there because I'm just like, I pay for stuff all the time that I do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, Jordan, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So to piggyback off that, Daniel, the Planet Fitness's model, like their business model, is accounting for 70% of their active members to not show up. And so if every one of their members showed up, then they wouldn't be able to fit everybody. So yes, people plan for paying for and not using. That's why they're $10 a month. But to go off that, yes, there's obviously financial incentive. But let's say you're somebody who just isn't interested in coaching for whatever reason, and you want to improve your sleep. Hypothetically, you would do the same thing like we were talking about with diet and exercise. Start small. And a large part of your getting up early and your energy is derived from your evening routine, like you were talking about, Manny, to where 4 p.m., maybe not have that espresso, maybe have something with either less caffeine intake or do the decaf. But even if, let's say, for example, you had to, although I wouldn't suggest doing caffeine that late because it stays in your system for like up to 9 hours, you could do, let's assume you do that decaf. That's going to set you off better. But even if not, you can start an evening routine, even like 15 minutes earlier than what you would do. And that evening routine could be something as simple as changing into your pajamas and brushing your teeth and doing what you do normally to start off a little bit earlier. Lay down, maybe trying to do some digital detox. I don't want to say a large part, but part of why people sleep crappy is because on the go until their head hits the pillow. And then when their head hits the pillow, it's the time that their brain can actually start working through some things where it's not being stimulated by work, social media, phone, podcasts, etc. And so when you lay down, then your brain's okay, let's just process what the last 24 hours were all about. And then you start stressing about tomorrow. Oh, I got to do this, do that. Did I turn that valve off? Did I do this, do that?
Yeah.
And it's because you're not giving yourself that time prior. And so even if you started like a 15-minute, and I'm not saying 15 minutes is going to change your life, but it's a tick in the right direction. And so starting 15 minutes earlier, maybe laying down, if you want to try meditation, just to be a little bit more mindful, journaling, writing down a checklist for tomorrow so you can just brain dump and not stress too much about it. There's small incremental changes that you can do in the evening to set you up better in the morning, and then get up a little bit, maybe feel a little bit better. And then you can start shifting your routine a little bit earlier. And if you want to do something that's just stupid easy, just keep setting your alarm 1 minute earlier each day and see where that gets you. Right. That's like
simple little things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Things that just like change a little bit, behavior a little bit.
Go ahead, Manny.
I was going to ask, so how have you found the community? Obviously, how long has this business been going on? Since the pandemic, you said?
Yeah. So that was the inception of Phoenix Performance. But 13 months ago, I decided to jump ship on my previous job and start or work on the business fully. And so I've been in business by myself as a solopreneur for, like I said, 13 months. It was actually funny story. I worked as a coach prior to this at a full-time job through a different company. And I started in mid-April and I quit my 1 year anniversary on the anniversary of the Titanic sinking. So I made the joke that I was going to sink my career on the same day to start this business. And due to like contractual obligations, when I started working at this previous company, I completely shut down Phoenix Performance Coaching which I had 3 clients. It wasn't anything crazy. It was like a side gig I was just playing around with. Worked at this other business, worked with a lot of clients, quit. And then due to contractual obligations, I couldn't overlap. So I quit, then started this business, which was a horrible decision. I don't recommend it, but I did it. And I've been here ever since. My goal was to stick it out for a year, and I did. And I don't plan on quitting.
That's great. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
I am a business owner slash, I guess I would call myself an entrepreneur. I'm going to be on an entrepreneur show. Congratulations, because it takes a lot. And I know that to me, you put out fires every day. I always tell people like who want to brew, I'm like, do you like brewing or do you like putting out fires? Because if you like putting out fires, then you should be a business owner. If you like brewing, go get hired by a person who can pay you a good salary and give you a check every day, every week, and brew. Like so it takes a lot, and that's great. 13 months is a lot. And so obviously you have clients. So like, how did you go about it? Is it people that you knew? Is it like you're a gamer? So is it you just like the community, like meetups and stuff like that? Or just how did you get the word?
Yeah, so I don't think what I did was any different. I'm sure yours was probably pretty similar. Some people call it the hit list. Some people call your friends and family saying, hey, this is a new adventure that I'm doing. Love your support any way, shape, or form. Some people say, what I did was I actually worked with a handful of people for free first. Give out free samples, if you will, for testimonials and stuff like that. And in all honesty, just to hone my craft a little bit, which I'm always doing. And so I did that. And then I think I really screwed up. I just went, when I quit my job to start my business, my goal was to try to make it a lateral move where I already had enough revenue from the first month to equate what I was making my previous job. So I was like, I just need to spend all my money on paid advertisement, which was a horrible idea. Don't recommend it. There is a natural warm-up period where the audience needs to warm up to your product, and 1 month is not enough. And I did that, learned a costly mistake, and still did some ads, experimented with a bunch of different ads, did a couple mentorships. But a large part of it was just bringing attention to my Instagram page and then me reaching out to them in the DMs to open up the door for conversation, nurture a conversation. And then if I deemed that they were a decent enough fit that we could be helping each other, pitch them to hop on a call and then take it from there. And if not, send them a free resource, wish them good luck, not trying to be that annoying door-to-door salesman in the DMs saying, hey, you should try that, or you should hop on a call. Just seeing where the natural conversation went. And if it warranted it, then we hop on a call. So that was that's honestly where a lot of my traffic has been through Instagram and the DMs.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah. You mentioned like local meetups and stuff like that. I've reached out to all my local game stores saying that I will host something, like I'll pay buy some product and say, I'll buy product from them and then do something unsanctioned, like a magic event, unsanctioned, and top 3 people get these prizes or something like that. It'll be sponsored by me, hosted by us, but it'll be on their store and I'll pay for all of the prizes. And I thought that was pretty cool, mutually beneficial, but nobody has responded.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm like thinking, just as that business owner, why not? Like, I'm trying to come up with all these, like right now, the game is for us is you have to have some sort of thing happening because there's so many breweries now and there's 60 breweries on Long Island alone. So we have the most per capita in New York State. So like you have to have something because there's just a lot of great liquid around. So it would be like, this is great. Let's someone who talk about exercising during gaming, because Tuesday nights is gaming night. And we have tournaments like this next week is a Smash Brothers tournament. Nice. And like that, I would be like, can you come and sponsor it? Cool. That's what I would love that. I don't know why they wouldn't take that as something to do because it's like something different. What are you doing? Oh, like it's an unsanctioned game that we could come and then the prize is to sit down and talk to somebody that could help you stay alive. Like that's just
it's not even that. Like the prize would be like 6 packs of Magic cards, like stuff that I would buy then.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then give them like, this is my business card. So it's very
oh my God, it looks just like a Magic card.
And I throw one of these at them.
Yeah.
And I think to answer that question, why the hell not, is because it's unique. It's different. Yeah. I am very much a trailblazer in what I'm doing. And that is not without its, what I want to say, hurdles. And like I mentioned, the gaming community is largely sensitive to health, and equally, if not more so, skeptical. Rightfully, like how many snake oil salesmen, how many crappy coaches have you seen, et cetera, et cetera. And so here comes me saying that, boasting that I do coaching specifically for gamers and you should let me in your company, blah, blah, blah. So I think there's that kind of lack of awareness, also healthy skepticism, and local game stores, especially for tabletop gaming, are largely a safe space for people in a largely bullied community. And so I think, no, it's all right. To finish my thought, I think they're just being protective. So I'm not like blaming them or anything like that. It's just, I think that they are putting defenses upon defenses to ensure that their community or their place is a safe place for this neglected community. And me coming in their minds, which this isn't what happens, in their minds coming in as that drill sergeant, belittling them for being insert.
Yeah, you're overweight. I didn't think I was overweight. Now you're telling me I'm overweight. Probably, I'm sure that's not what you do, but because of those people that were sleazy and those coaches that the ones that are like belittling people because they think that's the way to do it. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I could see where they'd be like, we don't want someone to like make fun of it. Like now I'm gonna be self-conscious. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe, and there's people that are perfectly fine in their bodies, like they're stoked I could get it.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying that like that kind of resonated with me too. These places are safe spaces, right? They're safe places for people who are, especially in tabletop gaming, right? When I used to play Magic the Gathering in middle school and stuff, and there in our middle school, if Manny remembers too, there was a big cafeteria.
Yeah,
and there was the little cafeteria. And the little cafeteria was where all the Magic the Gathering people were playing Magic because they would be ridiculed in the large cafeteria for playing Magic, right?
Yeah.
But we also got our lunch first, which was great. But two, I would say like, you're right. And then there's the comic book stores, and then there's places, right? This is where you felt safe to do those things, to be more yourself, to enjoy a game, which it was an amazing game. Now I haven't played for many years, and I
know you want to, man.
I do, but now after like on the episode that we'll release, or probably out at this point, that there's been some rule changes that I wouldn't be aware of. I would really like to know them, but it's like there's an interesting correlation between this idea of someone who knows the community and you still have trust building that you have to do, especially in a tabletop gaming community, because it is a community that was more largely ridiculed, now getting a little less, but still is not at the mainstream level yet. No, at that like many different, especially in video game gaming, is at this point. How do you? I don't know where I'm going with this in terms of question. How do you build that trust? I know you're working on it, and my question was basically like, in terms of the differences between those two communities, what is it that makes it? We talked about the food part in the beginning of the podcast, but is it the sedentary aspect of it that makes it also so much more unhealthy, can become health issues? Even because especially in gaming now, video games in general, like you don't have to go anywhere. Like I would have to go to my friend's house to play a video game, or
I miss those days.
Get together to play a video
couch
game. Now I
co-op.
don't have to go anywhere. Like
I miss those days.
How is it changing like gaming cultures, and the culture of how we game has changed our approach to health possibly?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to take this a little bit deeper than what you might intended.
Yeah, no, go for it.
So I think just with the increased level of technology we have as a whole, I think lack of movement is obviously an issue, right? They say sitting's the new smoking, but you don't get secondhand sitting. And so I don't necessarily agree with that, but they make a point, right? And so I don't want to say that it's lack of movement or food choices, because that's not unique to gaming. What I think is more unique to gaming is the escape that you get into a fantasy world, whether it's D&D, Magic, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft. And so to take it 2 steps into it, again, going back to being a main character of your own life, a lot of people who maybe been bullied their whole life, never really cared about their physical presence, they're never really cared about their physical health at all. They escape into a game that they can excel at. They can be getting to max level or top 10 on the leaderboards, or like for me, it was building my own homebrew D&D world where, and I don't exaggerate when I say this, like every spare second that I had that my mind wasn't occupied on something, it was occupied on D&D, homebrew world, what we're going to do next session. and just constantly those wheels were constantly turning in the background, even when other things were going on. And let's say I'm watching a show, chances are my eyes were glassed over and I was just thinking about D&D. I get up, grab a drink from my commute to the refrigerator, thinking about D&D. I don't exaggerate when I say I was heavily mentally and emotionally invested in this D&D world. And I was an NPC, and I was that NPC for about 2 years, and it was during grad school and then post grad school, and then the pandemic actually opened things up for me. And so I fully know how addictive that escapism is. And I think it's largely that escape, right? Just being an NPC in their real life, because everything around them's hard. They don't like where they are. You get into the mental illness side, like depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. But also the escapism. But then on top of that, what you were talking about before, Manny, there's the instant gratification. You go to the gym once, you look in the mirror, and you're pissed off because you don't have a rippling six pack. You spend an hour on a game, you are progressively showing progress. Like, you are incrementally showing progress. Your experience bar is increasing. Maybe you leveled up. Maybe you acquired this item. You are showing instant gratification that you are doing something. You kill an enemy, you see the experience number pop up, right? Instant gratification. You don't get that in real life. You don't get that you do it with food, but you don't get that with improving your health, improving your physical body. And so there's escaping into a fantasy world that is significantly easier with minimal consequences, dying, respawning. And then, so the fear of failure isn't there. And then there's the instant gratification of actually physically seeing yourself progress and you become better, where you don't get that. Your body's not Amazon Prime. It's not going to show up in 2 days. And so I think those two are the real linchpins as to why I don't want to say gaming is dangerous, but it becomes addictive in a very similar way to other addictive substances.
It's a drug.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
It's like what they say about like doom scrolling, right? Like you want to see the next thing that's going to make your brain just, oh, look. And then that's why you can't go to sleep, because now you're all like hyper and like you just saw the blue screen and all that stuff. So yeah, you're turning to, like you say, like it always reminds me of Ready Player One, where everybody just, even though everything was like, you could move a little bit because now you got to stand and stuff, but like everybody didn't, like the visual of that town that he lived in, they like cars on top of cars and stuff.
Stacks.
And the stacks and like how like everybody was not like doing well financially, but they were in the world. They were he even said it, like you could be whoever you wanted to be. Like, so like that itself is the drug. So why do I need to have good health? Because I am feeling good. I feel good mentally, and like, why not?
Why improve your health when you're a level 60 dwarven wizard on this map?
Yeah. Remember that South Park episode, like when like they're not even moving. Yeah, that was crazy.
He calls his mom in because he's got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
I mean,
like, you don't.
We laugh, but
you don't have to go anywhere. Like, you could be on these games much longer than Manny and I talked about once. We were talking about Sega, like the old Sega Genesis games and Contra, or like on Nintendo or Sega. And we didn't realize until we returned to it being like, oh, when you die and you run out of lives, like you go back to the beginning of the entire game. So at that point, I might be like, I'm done, and I'll walk away. But if I could continue on and there's like a nonstop stream or nonstop just world of me just being there, and I don't have to do anything other than maybe walk around as well for 5 hours in the world and not do anything and not choose to be on the mission, where in Nintendo, you have no choice. You just can't stand there. You'll die. Even in the differences in how the games are played is just, it lends to like much more, I don't know, just like absorption into the world. And like you said, like deep escapist into a world that like you don't have to leave at all, in a way.
I have a question. What have you seen is the most escapist? Is there different levels? So what Dan was saying, like there's the video game one, and then there's the board games, and that physically you're now. So I miss playing video games with people. I don't play D&D, but if you're in it and now you're around people, there's two drugs going on. So you are taking care of the fact that you're gathering with people, right? Which humans need, in my opinion. That's what we want. But then now you're all going through this fantasy world where you're together, but you're also acting like other people. So like, what's the better drug? Or have you seen that there's more addiction to one to the other? Or is just like all the same baseline? Escapism is escapism.
So that's a good question. Have you read the book Ready Player One? Either of you?
No, I wanted
No.
to do that. I heard it was
There-
good.
It's like probably my favorite standalone book. I don't recommend Ready Player Two. It unfortunately sucks. But Ready Player One, the book is really good. And actually, the reason why I bring it up is because what's his name? The creator of the Oasis, his name escapes me. He falls in love with this girl, and he only communicates to her through their D&D campaign. They never talk face to face because he had some social anxieties, probably autism. They really leaned heavily that it was autism, but he wouldn't communicate to her face to face, so he had to go through that, essentially the degree of separation. That really wasn't answering my question to your question, but I would say probably video games. If I had to say which one is worse, which is like arguing what dental floss is better, I think video games probably are more and more addictive because you don't have to be around other people, and it just never ends. Like, you think about like Call of Duty, battle royale games, you can just keep playing, and there's no story to it, and they suck. I'm not a fan of like battle royale or PvP type games like that, but there's just no end, so you keep playing. And
Yeah,
so
like, hit me again. Oh, I got
Yeah.
second place. I gotta get you're chasing that dragon.
Yeah, and if you think about,
you know?
yeah, exactly, chasing the dragon. If you think about like Call of Duty, those matches are what, like 10 minutes? So you can go, I can do 10 minutes, I can do 10 minutes, I can do 10 minutes, and then you look and, oh crap, the sun's rising.
Damn,
And
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
and with D&D, you could do that on a single level, like with me just like writing out story, world building, lore, and all that stuff. You can do that, but there is that community aspect, whether even if it's a virtual tabletop, which you're still separating obviously, but you're communicating with people. It's a group of people. It's not like you're in a random proximity party chat where you're teabagging other people. You're actually with friends, either people you've met, and it's a much closer community because you guys are spending 4 to 8, 12 hours or more
There's
together.
12-hour campaigns.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've played from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. before in D&D.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Easily.
I have a client who comes in. He has his whole basement set up. He presses buttons like and
Oh, nice.
exchange and stuff like that. It's nuts. I was like, I didn't realize you could do 12 hours. That's
Oh yeah.
wow.
It's extremely immersive if you have the right group. And
Mhm.
so once you find that group, you definitely create like a close community in that. And so I think that's why video games are probably more dangerous, because you lose that community aspect and you can play more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just recently saw a video and I felt really nostalgic about it when the guy said we grew up like when me and Dan grew up playing. What'd you call it, LAN game?
LAN, local area
yeah,
network.
it was like you played Halo and you played with 4 friends, or you watched your friends win something and you saw the reaction and physically see it. Instead, now, you're playing with 100 people, but you're not really playing with 100 people. You're playing in your home now. And like, you're not experiencing joy with anyone except yourself. Yeah, you could think, you say, like, I played golf with my friend who's in blah, blah, and it's, but like, when you take that off, you're still alone. So,
And
it is dangerous. Like,
I played
that's
like
real
online.
dangerous. Like,
Yeah, I played online once or twice, and I was like, man, this is horrible. Like, it's just not the same. And that's just my opinion. Obviously, some people really like it, but
yeah, Dan, I think it's like a
never
multi-million-dollar industry.
I've heard some like playing
Definitely
online.
like
Yeah.
it.
hey, like,
No, but I definitely it's like, how do you get the
Yeah.
industry to also combat that?
it's
Have more local network games and then
Just bring back couch co-op.
and-
what's
yeah.
that?
Just bring back local co-op, couch co-op, where you can sit down with your buddies and play, and not have
Yeah.
to have two different consoles.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
it should be like this game is only for that, or there are
Games like that, actually.
people try it,
Hmm.
and I know, like, again, we started doing it again at our brewery, and it brought a lot of people because they just want to prove that they were better at everybody else at like Mario Kart. But it did bring a good crowd, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, can I bring my console next time and bring the game that I like?" It's sure, that's cool. So I think it's cool because then it's like bringing them together more than just like playing at home. But then enter you, like, I know we went a little bit of a tangent, not really, because it's explaining everything about health and whatever. It's like, so when you finally get on a call with somebody, they've reached out to you, or you reached out to them somehow. You're like, you're doing DMs. Obviously, you're hustling and getting your name out there. And then when someone actually says, "Oh, this is interesting," is that what kind of how it goes? And it's, I want to chat. Is there a aha moment where they're like, "Oh, I should really start getting in better shape," or is it like you feel sometimes there's like resentment or people going, I'm not out of shape.
Yeah, it's normally when I am in the DMs communicating with people, I'm just essentially asking how things are going on the fitness front, what their workouts look like, nutrition, that type of stuff, like where the goals are. And then if I can sense that there may be something missing, I'll ask, what do you think your biggest roadblock is? That type of stuff.
Mm.
And then if it goes that route, somebody could be like, yeah, man, I've been tracking my calories. I'm down 30 pounds. I'm hitting the gym 5 days a week. There's probably not a whole lot that I can add. But if somebody said, I've been struggling for over a month, I haven't lost any weight. I've been trying to go to the gym 3 days a week. I've really only been going like 1 day a week, and my diet has really been inconsistent. Then I could be like, hey, man, I'd like to talk about this a little bit more in depth. Would you be totally opposed to hopping on a Zoom call? We hop on a 15 to 30-minute chat, and where I just get a better understanding of where they are.
Mm.
And then if that's a good fit, if we're vibing, then I'll pitch them like a longer call, like a 45 to 60-minute call where we dive like really deep into what they're doing, what's not working, what their goals are, how they're feeling, and figure out, okay, this could be a good fit. This is what I would recommend, that type of thing. So that becomes more like a sales route. But the aha moment, I call it the call to action. Where was the call to action for them to answer? And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the hero myth, the hero's journey, the hero story. And there's always the call to action, right? Obi-Wan tells Luke he needs to leave the Shire or whatever the hell. And he doesn't. And then he goes home and he finds that his aunt and uncle were burned. He doesn't answer the call to action first, which makes him the reluctant hero. In real life terms, this is your doctor saying you're pre-diabetic, you need to improve your health. They don't. Then the next step is it gets worsened. You go from pre-diabetic to now you are actually type 2 diabetic. Then they're like, okay, now I'm actually going to answer this call to action. And normally when I have conversations with people, it's after they actually answer the call to action, not necessarily after they get the call to action, because those are two separate times. And so they get their call to action. And a lot of times it's something like they went to the doctor. 'Cause I work with guys like in their 30s. So they haven't been active since high school. The doctor says, hey, I'm going to have to put you on blood pressure medicine. Maybe they stepped on the scale and they hit a number that they told themselves they never hit. Or they have officially partitioned off over half of their closet because their clothes just don't fit anymore. Whatever that breaking point is, everybody has their own rock bottom. And that's when they then answer their call to action and enter me, right? I like to say that I'm Phil in the movie Hercules. I'm getting Hercules through the training montage so he can be the hero. And our training together is that initial training montage where we get Hercules to break the tape measure. So that's where I am.
Do you have a time like where so obviously there's a certain amount of time you have with them, or is this kind of a lifelong thing where like they check in every once in a while? Do you have like clients who come back that, listen, I slipped up, I need more coaching, like things like that?
Yeah. So based on their needs, I'll say, hey, based on our conversation, I'll recommend 12 weeks, 6 month, 12 month. A lot of people have goals that are longer than 12 months, but I don't pitch anything longer because I want to keep it realistic. And I'm not going to say we're going to do this for 5 years type thing. And I don't want a client for 5 years. If I have a client for 5 years, I'm a bad coach because I'm then telling them that they need me to see success. And in all honesty, if I'm with them for 5 years, they're not seeing success.
So you basically you want yourself to be fired. Like, I want you to not need me because then I did a good job. Yeah,
exactly. And so let's do like a somewhat hypothetical. Let's say I work with somebody for a year. They lose 50 pounds. Very realistic number. They lose 50 pounds. They're like, I think I got it. We've worked together. We've gone through a first of everything, every holiday, every season. Like we've gone through that together. They feel like now that they have the skills and foundation laid that they can then build on themselves. And so great, cool. I might make a post, baby Phoenix leaves the nest. And then they are now in the world in a much better shape. And they can be like, hey, I was right where you were last year. I'm going to give you my old trainers information. And so rather than having somebody who's just been spinning their wheels the whole time, it's, to put it bluntly, it's like that guy 50-year-old guy that you see walking at Planet Fitness who says he's been going for the last 3 years and he's wearing a 3X shirt. And so it's like clearly what he's doing is not working. And so I don't want that. I want to teach them the skills. I'm teaching them to fish rather than what a lot of trainers do is give them fish. And I don't want that.
Yeah. That's really great, Jordan. I feel like we can keep going, and I feel like we've learned so much in this time. Is there something that you want our audience to maybe walk away with knowing, or something that you can leave them with in terms of if someone's out there trying to start that journey for it right now?
Yeah. No action is too small. And that's a cliche, but let's say you want to lose 100 pounds, then your first goal should be to put on your workout shoes.
Mm.
And so a lot of people think they need to be motivated to take action, when in reality, action creates motivation and momentum. And long circling back to the instant gratification thing, and this going back to the New Year's resolution, we get discouraged because we're not getting the instant gratification and we're not meeting these expectations. I go to the gym day after day and I'm not ripped. I don't have a shredded six pack. Therefore, my brain is saying what I'm doing is not working. When it's not true, it's just a long con, and your brain cannot figure that out. And so instead of focusing on losing 100 pounds, you can focus on always putting your workout shoes on, or always checking your mail, going for a walk, whatever that smallest bite-sized action that you can actually take, where you tell yourself, that's stupid. It's supposed to be. Start off small. Start off as small as possible. Because once you stand up and you put your shoes on, then you're like, I'm not going to take them off because then that'd be silly. No, you're going to go out, you're going to check the mail, right? While you're out, you might as well take a lap around the block. And so putting your shoes on could easily become a consistent routine. So no action is too small, and focus on the process versus the outcome, because we're not going to get that instant gratification. So our brain is going to tell us it doesn't work.
Boom. Wow. There you go, everyone. Jordan, thank you so much. Everybody, definitely reach out to Jordan if you want to be coached by someone who is going to listen to you, who is going to help you, who is definitely in it for the right reasons and is there for you while you're on your journey. Jordan, why don't you tell everyone how to get in touch with you one more time, and then everyone definitely listen up.
Yeah. So again, Instagram at phoenix.performance.coaching. There's a Discord server in the Phoenix Nest. And obviously everybody that listens to this are fans of podcasts. And I am actually starting a podcast. I just filmed my 4th episode today. It's also called the Phoenix Nest. That is on YouTube at Phoenix Performance Coaching is my name on that.
Okay. Excellent.
Nice. Awesome.
Excellent. Welcome to the podcast game. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah. I have no expectations for it. I just want to create content. Long form.
Everybody,
That's great.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Nostalgia 101. If you like this episode, please hit the like button, leave us a positive review, hit us up on YouTube, on our YouTube channel as well. Watch this episode and leave some comments, leave some reviews. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all at the Nostalgia Test, X at Nostalgia Test. And hey, if you leave a review and you screenshot your review and your 5-star rating, we'll send you a PDF printable from a quote from this episode. So go ahead and do that. All right. Or maybe from another episode. Who knows? There'll be a quote from some episode. Bro, we're trying to build this up.
I know. We're going to try to get those shares going.
Printables. Get this going.
Hustle.
People. Hang it up on your wall and take a picture of it. But everyone, thank you so much. See you at the next episode. See you at the next Nostalgia 101 class, everyone. Peace.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please subscribe to the Nostalgia Test podcast to know when new episodes drop. Don't forget to leave us 5 stars and a positive review so more people can find the podcast. Share your thoughts and memories on today's topic on our Twitter at Nostalgia Test and on Instagram at the Nostalgia Test. Tune in next time because you never know what pop culture will pop up on the Nostalgia Test.